Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I'm Judy, and the goal of my channel is to provide information and education that is good for the group, that is good for you. Okay, so today we're going to talk about roadblocks. A few videos before, a few videos previously, I talked about all these roadblocks I had in the month, I believe it was April or April. I encountered several roadblocks. Lots of the roadblocks I encountered were beyond out of my control, right? So today we're going to talk about other kinds of roadblocks and just define what a roadblock could be and strategies that we could use to push through. Okay, so a roadblock is something that stops your passage, right? So if you've been driving down the road and there's a roadblock and you come up to a roadblock, there is something there that stopped your passage. And it's stopping your passage maybe for safety reasons, or for example, a tree fell down, or it could be for another reason, like they're fixing the road. It could be a roadblock where you got to a stop sign and you don't remember which way to go. That is a mental roadblock, right? I want you to be aware that a roadblock may actually be stopping you from going down the wrong path, right? So that's something I want you to think about. So oftentimes we think of roadblocks and we think of an inconvenience. We say, oh, now I have to go a different direction. No, I have to drive all the way back down. I have to make a left turn. I have to make another right and go back around the roadblock. And we don't realize that it is for our own good, right? So think about the roadblocks that may have been occurring or have occurred while you're working on your goal. Were they for your own good? Were they for you to be able to take a step back and go a different direction? What is the reason for this roadblock? So sometimes we don't take the time to stop and think. We just get upset, we get irate, and we're just, what an inconvenience, right? And I felt that way in March and April when all these different things were happening. I felt that way. Major inconvenience. So maybe also the reason for the roadblock is for you to gain knowledge. Because when things happen to us, we go searching for an answer. We try to say, oh, why is this happening? Right? Is there a way I could go around this roadblock? Pull over, you look at your GPS, you call a friend. Same thing in life. When things happen, you may ask for help. You may Google it, right? You may ask the AI, you may say, Alexa, can you tell me such and such about this, right? So you gain knowledge. So it's 6 things that we need to think about when we encounter a roadblock. And the first thing, think about the first thing that you should do. The first thing you should do when you encounter a roadblock is to stop and assess the problem. You stop and you take some time to look at the problem. Stop and determine what the problem is before you move on, right? Pause. Just take a pause. Take a pause. Okay? Just take a brief pause and assess the problem. Then, second thing is most important is we need to determine if the roadblock is because of safety concerns. Have your goals that you're working on and you encounter a roadblock. Your goals are important. I'm not saying that they're not, but your safety is the utmost of importance, right? You want to be safe. So you were going to go and give this speech, right? And maybe you were going to, in your speech, offend someone. You never know. You encountered a roadblock, you gathered information, you gathered knowledge, and then you find out basically what the reason for the roadblock is, right? So you want to determine if the roadblock is based on a safety issue, right? So you have my goal that I mentioned in the previous video is to lose 10 pounds, right? So my goal is to lose 10 pounds. One of the ways I'm working on losing 10 pounds is to exercise. So let's say I started to run. I was walking 4 days a week, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to up my game. And 2 out of those 4 days, I'm going to start to run, right? And I encountered a roadblock. A roadblock could be that after every time I run, I break out in hives, or every time I run, I come home the next day, my back is hurting and I can't get out the bed. It is a safety issue now, right? It's something where I probably need to go to the doctor. I need to get things checked out. I want to make sure that I'm healthy and I'm safe while I am running, right? So these things that happen when you're working on your goal, you really need to take a step back. You really need to assess the problem, and you need to make sure that it is not due to some kind of a safety issue, because safety is very important. The next thing is, then it's not a safety issue. You step back and you saw that the problem. Now you're going to come up with ideas and ways to work through the roadblock, because we're going to have to go through the roadblock. Okay, this is not an actual roadblock on the road, but this is a roadblock that you're having as you're working towards your goal. So now the next step 3, is to determine some strategies that you're going to put in place to get through the roadblock, or to get around the roadblock, okay, to get on the other side. So what are the strategies that you will be putting in place to get on the other side? So my example of me running and having a serious backache the next time I go to the doctor, and the doctor says, you know what, I think your problem with your back is your shoes. So guess what my strategy is going to be? I'm going to go to a specific place that makes these shoes. I can't think of what they're called, but special shoes, orthopedic inserts. I'm going to come up with different strategies. There are going to be different strategies as far as what I need to do when I go for a run. Maybe when I come back, I have to ice my back. Maybe I need to do some warm up and stretch and then run. There are lots of different things that I probably need to do. If it's actually just soreness and I went and got it checked out, it's not a safety concern. Now I need to come up with strategies on how I'm going to help myself and help my back push through this roadblock of my back hurting every time I come back from running. Okay, so what are the strategies that I'm going to put into place? So now that's number 3 with strategies. Number four is I'm going to actually come up with a plan. I've strategized, okay? I've spoken to people who know these things, know things about backs, right? I'm going to come up with a plan, right? And I'm going to come up with a plan. That's number 4. And guess what number 5 is? Implement that plan. Next time I go running, this is what my plan is to do, and I'm going to implement it, and I'm going to take note of what happened after I came back from running that time. I'm going to see if it made a difference, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. Strategize, come up with a plan, and implement that plan, okay? So that we can go around that roadblock or push through the roadblock. Our final one is number 6. You're going to reevaluate the plan that you put in motion. Is your plan working? Are you able to push through that roadblock? Are you able to go around that roadblock? Reevaluate your plan. It may mean that you have to reevaluate your goal. Yes, So my goal is to lose 10 pounds, right? And part of my goal, one of the steps that I'm using in order to reach that goal is to walk or run, right? Well, if I'm running and every time my back is hurting and I've tried different things to get through that roadblock of the pain of my back and it's not working, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to have to reevaluate that goal. If it's serious enough where it's a safety issue, I may not be able to run, but I can swim. I can bike. There are other things out there that I can do to still meet my goal. So this is why it's important to reevaluate. And this is part of the reasons why I say you need to spend time. We need to spend time to review our goals, right? We need to do that monthly and at least quarterly to see what we need to change and what we need to implement and how we are just generally doing on our goals. This is an ongoing process. You're not just going to write it down and it's it. No, you may have to change things that you wrote it in January, so 6 months ago, right? We may need to reevaluate. We may need to change some things around. We may need to add, we may need to subtract, right? But this is why we have these conversations, and I hope they are helpful to you. So yeah, so those are the top 6 things that you need to consider when you run up into a roadblock. These are the top 6 things that I believe that you need to consider when you have a roadblock, when you're trying your hardest, okay? Your hardest to meet your goals. And it's a struggle. I know. It's a struggle for me too. But we are going to keep moving and we're going to push through. I really appreciate you joining me today. Give me a thumbs up if you like anything I said. I think you did. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Good of the group. Bye.